2023 was an interesting year, full of ups and downs, and a lot of movies at the cinema. Braden, you and I started this channel to explore our thoughts and share our feelings on certain movies, some of our favorite movies, some of our least favorite movies.
Indeed.
And today, in each of our hands, we have a couple envelopes. In these envelopes, we have our top 5 movies of the year, along with a few other surprises.
Gotta say, I missed a lot of movies this year.
Yes, we
missed a ton of movies this year.
There's a lot that even came out like within the last week that I feel like if I saw might have made it on this list.
Definitely. I missed Poor Things that recently came out. I haven't seen Boy and Heron yet. But these are our personal opinions, so it's not like we're not saying these are Oscar contenders or anything like that. This is just like what we enjoyed the most throughout the year.
We're going to go and get into it, but thought we'd throw in a little twist. You're going to read mine. I'm going to read yours.
Of course, and a little surprise in there.
Yeah.
In the exchange.
Okay. All right, you picked for number 5, Asteroid City.
And you picked Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Wow.
One thing that I've noticed, Braid, me and you, a lot of times I'll see a movie and I'll be like, this is going to be a Braid movie.
Yeah, you know instantly.
And that's kind of how I felt with Asteroid City. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
But I want to hear your thoughts on it. What made it number 5 for you?
So this one kind of just like, I'm not gonna lie, it barely made the list. This isn't even like one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies. I'd say most Wes Anderson movies top this one. But this was one of the most interesting movie watching experiences this year. Like Asteroid City, it just really connected with me because it was so fun just like dissecting it and its characters and its weird like layered narrative. It's bizarre, and I found most of the characters to be fun. It was a good time. You picked Across the Spider-Verse. Why? Why?
Well, it's a great follow-up to the original. It proves that you can do multiverse stuff now, and it's not totally fatiguing yet. There's like still cool things you can explore with it. Animation was beautiful. So I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see a follow-up.
Definitely.
Moving on.
Number 4.
Numero Quattro. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Your numero quattro was Poor Things.
And your numero quattro was Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Yes. I'm not going to lie. Spider-Verse and this one were kind of neck and neck for me for this spot. Just because like I put down Ninja Turtles instantly. And I remember Across the Spider-Verse came out. I was like, oh, that's like a really good animated movie this year too. And I even think Across the Spider-Verse might be the better movie overall, like in terms of like construction. But this is like Ninja Turtles was a movie I'd been like waiting for a while and like curious about. It was Ninja Turtles directed by Seth Rogen. Fascinating. They were casting kids. I was like, what is this? The animation style was ripping off Spider-Verse. We're like, you know, using Spider-Verse, I could say, launching off of it. And going to see this movie, it was just a completely like fresh take on the Ninja Turtles, and it honestly, it made me feel like a kid again. You picked Poor Things.
Yes.
I haven't seen this movie at all.
So I saw it a couple days ago. Ever since I'd seen the trailer for it, I'd found it fascinating.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I can't wait to see it.
It's just got such a vibe to it. It's supposed to feel kind of like a Frankenstein movie.
Yeah, I kind of got that.
And I mean, you got Willem Dafoe, you got Emma Stone, you got Mark Ruffalo. I'm not going to go too into like spoilers or anything, but I think the premise of the movie is pretty interesting. The plot has a lot to do about like femininity and like what does it mean to be a woman and like all these different like stages of life.
Yeah.
And again, it was just beautiful. I've never seen any movie that's looked like it really. It could have topped the list a little more, but there were a couple other inclusions that I kind of preferred.
Okay.
But great movie. I'd recommend you see it.
Nice. Shall we go to number 3?
For number 3, you picked Dream Scenario.
Yes, and you picked Oppenheimer. I figured this one was going to pop up on the list somehow.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Oppenheimer?
I loved Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
More than I expected. It was one of those movies that you're like, cinema's back, baby.
Yeah,
You know, like
it felt important when you were watching
you
it.
thought that, you know, COVID killed cinema. Oppenheimer brought it back with a boom.
It did, with a big boom. Right. I think that would make most people's list. This is probably like, it didn't connect with me maybe in the same way. I still really liked Oppenheimer, but I would say that this is probably going to be a lot of people's favorite movie of the year, and definitely probably the most like memorable movie. Like when I think of like 2023 movies, Oppenheimer and Barbie are going to come to mind.
You picked Dream Scenario. We
Yes.
just talked about this. We had
Very recently.
some different opinions on it.
Yes.
How did it crack your top 3?
Well, It was honestly a surprise for me. I know that when we reviewed it, you said like it was kind of a letdown because of the trailers and stuff that you saw. One of the things that I liked about it is I didn't see anything about this movie before I watched it, so I had this nice blank slate going into it, and I was kind of just like shocked at how like funny it was and how cynical it was. It's very like, if you've ever seen like a Charlie Kaufman movie, he does like a lot of Spike Jonze type stuff. Being John Malkovich, that type of thing. This is sort of like weird. It's like a normal setting, but people are talking very plainly, but they're saying absurd things, and absurd things are happening for no reason. And you have this very reactive character in Nicolas Cage who is just like endlessly enjoyable for me to watch. I just wanted to keep seeing like what he was gonna do next. And I don't know, it really like came through at the end too, and it had a message. It touched me, I guess you could say.
On to number 2.
For
number 2, you picked The Holdovers.
Yes, I did. You picked
Napoleon.
I didn't see Napoleon. What'd you think of it?
I freaking love Napoleon.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people didn't like it.
What I like about it is every time I got the Alamo season pass this year with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And we kept like going and watching trailers, and every time the trailer came on for Napoleon, we were like, this movie's gonna fucking rock. It's weird because, number one, Joaquin Phoenix plays Napoleon, never does a French accent like the whole movie. They basically
really?
They basically talk just how he normally talks. It was entertaining. He's such a dick and like an annoying like character. He's a deviant, he's a tyrant, he's a king, and it just rocked. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, I mean, I wouldn't know if I'd give it like a 5 out of 5, but as far as like the hype of leading into the movie, how much I enjoyed it. It was long. It didn't feel super long.
Yeah.
You know, Oppenheimer was also a historical movie in a way. And I know that like this movie is technically above that on my list. I'm not necessarily saying that Napoleon is a better movie than Oppenheimer.
Right.
But as far as enjoyment and hype, I just loved it. I don't know what to say. It was great. For you, you chose The Holdovers.
Yes, I did. It's mainly about this sort of grumpy, very by-the-book teacher played by Paul Giamatti at this English prep school with these kids who are kind of like ruffians, they're getting into mischief and they're pranking the teacher and no respect.
Juveniles.
Juveniles is exactly the word we should use here. There's kids who get held over because it's Christmas time and for whatever reason their parents couldn't pick them up, so they have to stay at the prep school through Christmas. And Paul Giamatti, the grumpy teacher, he's the one who's just put in charge of watching them. He usually doesn't, but this year they just sort of saddle him with him. And it's sort of the kids versus the teacher throughout the movie. Eventually, most of the kids go away. I mean, kind of a spoiler, but not really. And it's really just about his relationship with one specific kid. And you sort of like really get to know these characters as they're like together in this empty school. And they like emotionally connect with one another. They sort of bond. They learn like, oh, this is why you're a grumpy teacher, and this is why you're a kid who constantly acts out. And they learn that they're not so different from each other. The way I would describe this movie is like a movie that your teacher puts on in class, and you sort of look at it at first and you go, this is kind of boring, I don't know if I'm going to like this. And then as it keeps going, you're sort of like, oh my God, this shit's hitting. It really felt like a Dead Poet Society or something like that. Very like inspiring and hopeful. And it was a great like Christmassy movie. It was a Christmas movie with like a lot of heart as opposed to just like something comedic or about Santa Claus or whatever. And it took me by surprise, I'm not going to lie.
That's a good pitch for it. I mean, I'm imagining like when you'd watch like The Blind Side
in
health class, and even though I'm not going to say that that's a great movie or anything, but, like I remember like when a teacher would show that kind of movie, that like once the period ended, you're like, damn, I'm kind of interested in going back to class so we can finish that movie.
Right, like when we watch K-Pax in class.
Yeah, what a fascinating movie, we should also cover.
I wonder if other people have that experience, or if that's just us.
Let me know if y'all have watched K-Pax
in health classes.
And you both remembered the ending differently, and then you saw the movie again, and the ending was different than you both remembered it. And you both remembered the same ending. If anyone else has had that, let me know.
Yeah, that's a very specific situation.
Yeah.
We got to review K-Pax.
We had a Mandela effect with K-Pax. Okay, anyway, moving on. Let's focus on this year, though.
It's finally time. We're talking about Big ol' number one.
Numero uno.
Holding this the right way. Right? Big ol' number one.
So, I had a sense that there was a movie that's going to be on both of our lists.
Yes.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Yes. I assume it's in here. I think I know what it is.
Let's just go ahead and get this cat out of the bag.
All right.
Braden.
Is it the same?
Godzilla
-1. Yes, it's the same.
Yes.
I knew this was going to be here. I'm surprised it's number one for you. I mean, when we talked about the movie together, I know you really liked it, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be number one. I assumed it would be on the list, though. This is surprising, though, for me.
Okay.
Heartwarming, even.
Yeah.
As a big Godzilla fan.
It was just so good.
It was
like
perfect.
I watched it again. Everything I loved about it, I still loved the second time.
You watched it again in
Yes.
theaters?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I love Godzilla's design. This movie has heartfelt characters, as stunning cinematography, great music, and Godzilla.
Yeah.
What else could you want from it?
Not even just Godzilla. Some of the best Godzilla stuff in any Godzilla movie. He's, like you mentioned, the great design. He's fantastic scenes. Him shooting his big giant beam, going through the ocean. This is like the first time they've done like full CGI. They did that for Shen a little bit, but this is like the first time that they're really like taking advantage of it. And it's just it's so tight. It's so well directed. It's so they knew what they were doing. They brought Godzilla from like the old times to the modern age, and it's like the only Godzilla movie besides maybe Shin where I can actually say like this competes with the original for like bid. I don't even know if you've seen the original.
No.
Yeah, but this movie, most Godzilla fans would tell you like the original clears every Godzilla movie. But I think when -1 came out, that debate started happening. Like this takes it and brings it into the modern age. It takes the metaphor and the theme of Godzilla, and they find a way to like keep it within its era, but add a completely new twist, making Godzilla about like survivor's guilt. And like I just had like an incredibly emotional experience, which is not what I was expecting. I was expecting just like cool Godzilla shit.
I'll also say, with the movie, I wasn't expecting... Like, I usually don't watch movies in other languages that often. I'm trying to do more about that, trying to get more cultured with my film watching.
Good.
But I just totally didn't even notice it in this movie. Like there have been times when, like, I'd get kind of checked out of a movie, and there is sort of, like, a little bit of a lull in this movie when they're, like, prepping to, like, fight Godzilla again.
Right.
But even then, I was invested in the character stuff. It just worked so well, and I can't think of any other movie this year that just worked and felt like a movie. I don't know how to explain. I mean, they all felt like movies.
It was the perfect cinema experience.
Yeah.
You know, like you can go this and like it's a popcorn movie, but it's also like an emotional experience, and it's gonna like make you look at life differently. But also you get to see Godzilla destroy things, and there's like weird, funny moments that they're able to bring in, and also like some of the most depressing moments I've seen in cinema. Fantastic.
We spent over half the year exploring movies, our thoughts on them. We're growing in our film criticism. We're growing in our technical skills.
We are.
I'm excited to see what the future of Film Friends is.
Yes.
And we're going to probably do a video soon of our most anticipated movies of 2024. So we're going to kick off the year strong.
Right.
I look forward to seeing where we go.
Expect more Film Friends.
Yes.
That's what I'll say. 2024 is going to be the year of
Film Friends. This was 2023 was the year of movies. It's the year of Film Friends.
Viva la Film Friends.
Viva la Film Friends.
And bid it adieu.
Adieu.